G'day guys and welcome to ReDriven. Now, the Porsche Macan, the medium-sized performance SUV you buy when an Audi, BMW or Mercedes just aren't quite pretentious enough. I'm kidding, I'm joking. Calm down. Look, if you can afford one of these things and can't take a joke like that, you need to have a good hard look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, now guys, seriously, the Porsche Macan, when brand new, is a brilliant car. I actually had one of these as a press car for a couple of weeks when they were new, and I loved it so much I didn't want to give it back. But that was when it was new and had a full factory warranty and was a Porsche press car, so it was cared for to the absolute highest degree. But what about when they're not new? What about when they're used and are a few years old and have many, many thousands of kilometers on them? What goes wrong with them? Are they reliable? What do they like to live with every day? And most importantly, should you buy one? Let's find out. Now guys, before we get deep into the Macan, I should mention that in this video we're going to be focusing on the Australian variant of the Macan, but if you're not from Australia, don't panic because everything that we're going to be going over should relate to Macans in your local area. Also, speaking of Australia, I should mention that this Macan has been lent to us by the guys at Autohaus Hamilton. Autohaus Hamilton are one of Australia's leading Porsche specialists. Not only have they given us the car, but they've also supplied us with their knowledge and expertise as far as putting this video together. Big thank you to Autohaus Hamilton. And also, to make this video as objective as possible, we've reached out to multiple Porsche owners groups, Macan owners, specialist mechanics and technicians, even some driver trainers to get their thoughts about the Macan. So this video is basically the culmination of all their experience and expertise. Now the Macan has been with us since 2014 and there's been a couple of updates during that time. Here in Australia it's available in primarily 4 different trim levels, but in typical Porsche fashion all of those trim levels are pretty heavily customizable thanks to Porsche's plethora of optional extras. But to explain all that, here's me doing a voiceover. To kick things off, the Macan is actually built on Volkswagen's MLB platform, which is the same platform underpinning the Audi A4, A5 and Q5, amongst a whole bunch of other Volkswagen and Audi vehicles. Plus, the Porsche-specific variants of the various engine and transmission combinations across the Macan range also pop up in everything from the Volkswagen Golf R to the Audi S5 and RS4, not to mention the diesel variants that have also been available. So yes, while this is a Porsche, it's really important to know that loads of the components in there are shared with some less prestigious brands. In terms of the range, the base model Macan is called just the Macan, with the levels of spice increasing with intensity as you climb through the Macan S, GTS and Turbo models, with each generally receiving extra power, more equipment and a higher cost of admission the higher the Macan flavoured food chain that you climb. The most substantial updates occurred in 2016, 2019 and again just recently, not only including aesthetic changes, but also, depending on the trim level, mechanical and equipment updates. And guys, look, we'd love to go over every graphic detail of every upgrade and variant in this video, but look, it would just take far too long. But the thing is, we have gathered all of that information and we've put it in our very handy ReDriven cheat sheets. Now my eyes are burning from the glare. Our cheat sheets are invaluable as they provide a full breakdown of the car's model range, its common problems, what you need to look out for before handing over your hard-earned cash, how much of that cash you should be handing over, and so much more. Check it out at redriven.com or in the link below. Now guys, look, if you already own a Macan or you're like a Macan expert and you've noticed in this video that we've missed something important, please let us know in the comments. Obviously, look, we're doing our best to cover everything we can in this car, but we generally find it's those that own these that are the true experts. So yeah, if we've missed something, let us know in the comments. Okay, so does it look good? Guys, that's one of the most perplexing arguments in all of the world of automotive. For as many people that love the look of these, there are just as many people that feel physically ill at just the sight of them. So we want to know, do you like the look of them? Let us know in the comments. For me personally, I think it's really dependent on the color and the wheels. Those two factors make a huge difference to the look of these. Like in a dark gray or like Nardo kind of flat gray with some big rims like on the GTS, that looks hot. But in yellow with like the smaller wheels, nah, not so much. But guys, ignoring all of that, I do think Porsche have done a fantastic job at taking the brand's design language and basically installing it on a medium performance SUV. That's all thanks to the Macan's designer, Michael Mauer. Anyway, look, there are a few common issues and problems with the exterior of the Macan. We'll get to that in a little bit in the video, but if you're on the market for one of these, make sure you check out the tyres. Make sure you check the brand and the model of the tyres, because if the owner has gone for like some cheap, dodgy tyres, which is the one part of the car that is actually touching the road, where else are they cutting corners? Also, check the wear pattern on the tyre. If they're really heavily worn, it means the car's been probably driven really, really hard. And check for gutter rash on all the rims. If there's heaps of gutter rash and damage there, it's a good sign that the car's been driven really, really badly. Okay, how's the interior? Well, guys, this is a Porsche, so it is bloody lovely in here. Actually, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I am going to bring this up. I was watching another channel's Macan review video on YouTube just while we were doing the research of this. And the journalist in that was basically going, yeah, you can really feel that it's a budget Porsche. Piss off, dickhead. No, you can't. This is a Porsche. It still feels like a Porsche. It's awesome. As far as design-wise goes and fit and finish goes, yeah, absolutely spot on. However, on some of the newer models, they've moved away from these physical buttons to kind of like a touch screen sort of style setup. Personally, I prefer the buttons. There's something about the tactility of a button that I prefer. I feel like the touch screens are a little bit dangerous. But yeah, stick to the buttons. Now, the seating position for me is absolutely spot on. I found it super comfy almost instantly, and there's heaps of adjustment. Although there are reports that some taller owners really find it hard to find a comfortable position. For me, I'm kind of overly sort of tall, and this is super comfy. Now, as far as wear and tear goes, this car is from 2015. It's got over 50,000 Ks on it, and it feels like new. Like there's the leather's not shiny at all. Everything feels great. The leather on the seats is great. The buttons all feel good. It feels like a new car. How's this used? Now in the back seat, I'm 44.7 Lego Jerry Seinfeld's tall. This is in my seating position, and back here, not too bad. Like my knees are just rubbing up against the back of the seat, but heaps of headroom. One thing, but I wouldn't want to sit in the middle because the transmission tunnel is bloody huge, so that would be very uncomfortable back there. But as far as seating comfort goes, if I was a child, I'd feel okay. Wear and tear wise back here, what wear and tear? Like this is a used car, but you'd never tell. It honestly feels like a brand new car. How's the tech? Well, the levels of tech are going to vary depending on year and spec and how liberal with ticking boxes the previous owner was when speccing the car. But for a quick overview of what the Macan has in its basic form, here's me doing a voiceover. The Macan will come with a minimum of a 10-speaker sound system, controlled via at least a 7-inch touchscreen, featuring satellite navigation, Bluetooth connectivity, USB ports, 12-volt power outlets, and a personal Wi-Fi hotspot. Electric seats and multi-zone climate control will keep you all comfy, while active cruise control and LED headlights and daytime running lights will help with the driving. Apple CarPlay has been available as an optional extra and became a standard feature from 2017. However, Android Auto hasn't been so lucky. Look, it is available now and it can be retrofitted to many infotainment systems, but Porsche weren't all that enthusiastic to offer Android Auto just a few years ago. For the graphic details of which Macan gets what tech, just jump on ReDriven.com and check out that cheat sheet. So how's the practicality? Well, in the boot, look, it's not too bad. It is a little bit smaller than some of the competition, but these seats, they do fold flat, so that helps. Also, I love that they've integrated the button to open the boot in the rear windscreen wiper. Very cool. Practicality in the back seat is okay. Good sized door bins. There's a couple of cup holders here on the armrest, and this entire thing can be like flipped forward, which is pretty cool. You do have your own air vents, temperature control, and a 12-volt power outlet, but that's about it for practicality in the back seat. And practicality up the front, you've got excellent size door bins. You've got a kind of not very convincing spot for your phone here. Bit annoying. 2 cup holders here, decent sized little bin here. What you think is storage here, but it's actually a trip back in time. That's for I think they're called a compact disc, I think. There's a okay sized glove box. And on the passenger side, there's a little spot to keep any, flaking flesh, fingernails, or just dust. Gross. Okay, what goes wrong with these things? Well, we're going to get to the mechanical stuff in a second, but let's start with the exterior. First up, there are loads of reports that the parking sensors are way too sensitive, so much so that they go off even in traffic. It's not really a fault as such, more of a first world problem, but this is kind of a first world car. There are also loads of reports that the rear windscreen wiper can be really chattery and scrape across the glass, and even operating it can be a bit fiddly. That's pretty easily fixed with some, decent quality wiper blades, and you get used to, operating the wiper from inside. There are the occasional reports that the mirror electronics can kind of freak or glitch out, either not operating on demand or even operating themselves on their own. Now, depending on the year, spec, and brakes fitted, a few owners have complained that the brakes do wear really quickly, and being a Porsche, replacement parts aren't that cheap. Also, they can get a bit squeaky. Now, this next one really surprised us. There are a few owners that have complained about the paint quality on their Macan, saying that it's a bit orange peely or just not up to scratch. Maybe they're really picky because on this Macan, the paint is absolutely flawless, it's perfect. But if you're a Macan owner and you're not happy with your paint quality, let us know in the comments. God, it's glary. Wow. Okay, problems inside. There are a couple of reports of the air conditioning leaking and even failing. Look, it's not a common problem as such. Just online we found I think 2 or 3 reports of that. The problem is if that does happen, the whole dashboard has to come out and it will be a very expensive job to repair. But again, not a common issue. Next up, there are reports that Macans that are fitted with a panoramic roof, the roof can get a bit rattly and even a bit glitchy in its operation. But again, it's not a common problem. Now, before we get to the mechanical stuff, can I ask a favor? Can you please hit those like, subscribe and bell icon buttons and share this video, because the more you share it, the more you hit like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff, the more of these videos we can make. Thank you. Okay, now mechanically what goes wrong? Well, the thing is, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not qualified to tell you what goes wrong mechanically, but Jim is.
Porsche's puzzling proclivity to produce a performance platform with a plethora of product preferences is particularly puzzling. I'm not doing that again, no way. In all seriousness, I know in terms of performance and comfort, they are amazing, absolutely. But they're not without their problems. In terms of what goes wrong, they have evolved a lot over the years. And it's important to know that there are a bunch of different engine upgrades and changes over the years, which is good because the earlier models did suffer a lot from engine oil leaks. However, the more recent they get, the less problems they seem to have. There's the transfer case issue, which Porsche has extended the warranty on. What's important to remember that in the likely event that something will go wrong, it is going to be expensive to repair. Local independent workshops like Auto House Hamilton can save you a few bucks, but it still ain't going to be cheap. As for general servicing costs, their fluids and filters aren't any more expensive than other cars. But they are a performance car and they have big, expensive tyres that wear out quickly. Their brakes are massive and expensive to change. And things like their front suspension control arms are considered a consumable and they need to be replaced at 40,000 Ks. And all that stuff does soon add up.
Is it safe? Well, it's a Porsche and technically it's still a current model, so it would want to be safe. But to give you an overview, here's me rapidly doing a voiceover. All Macans are fitted with at least 8 airbags, ABS, ESP, collision warning sensors, lane departure warning, traction control, hill descent control, parking assist, electronic brake force distribution, trailer sway control, hill holder, a speed limiter, and a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. Again, guys, for the full list of what Macan gets which safety tech, just check out the cheat sheet on ReDriven.com. So what's it like to drive? Well, there's an old saying that you can't be everything to everyone, but whoever came up with that saying has never driven a Porsche Macan. I remember being absolutely blown away by how the Macan does just everything so incredibly well when I had the new press car. And now that this one's a few years old and has many thousands of kilometers on it, yeah, I'm still blown away. Nothing's changed. The way this thing can feel genuinely luxurious most of the time, but the minute you floor that right foot or even hit sport mode, it turns into the hottest of hot hatches. It's brilliant. And it feels special all of the time, and that's arguably where it's better than its competition. Even an Audi SQ5, as brilliant as that car is, the link to that video is just up there, when you're not up it for the rent, it kind of just feels like a normal Audi Q5, whereas this thing, it just feels special all the time. No matter what the speed, this is clearly a very special thing. Now, I'm pretty sure Porsche use some sort of black magic to tune their suspension, because even over rough roads, this is super, super comfortable. But then once you start getting into it, it sits flat, it's controlled, it feels sporty and luxurious all at the same time. I don't understand how they do that. Now look, we're in Sydney testing this thing, so I can hardly, go pushing its performance credentials, but there's really no need because it feels good at any speed. Now, the journo in that other YouTube video that I was mentioning before was going on about how, the steering nuance just off center wasn't quite as delicate as he'd liked, and the mid-corner balance is a little bit underwhelming. What a wanker. This thing, brilliant. Even as far as noises and rattles and creaks. Noises, the engine and exhaust sound fantastic. There are no rattles and creaks, there's no squeaks, it sounds new. I'm just sold. I was sold when it was a brand new car. Even more sold on the driving experience now that it's secondhand. Pricing here in Australia kicks off from around about $50,000 for a 2015 base model with not many options in okay condition, and it tops out at around about $170,000 for, say, a 2020 turbo drenched in optional extras. And optional extras is something to look out for on the used market, because the used market generally compresses the price difference between cars that do and don't have optional extras. So for maybe a couple of $1,000s extra, you can get a car drenched in optional extras versus one that has nothing else fitted. As far as this car goes, a 2015 Macan S in basically perfect condition with a bit over 50,000 Ks, anywhere between $65,000 and $85,000. And for other pricing on this big globe of ours, here's a graphic. Porsche have a claimed fuel consumption figure of anywhere between 6.3 to 10 litres per 100 Ks, depending on year, spec, engine, all that sort of stuff. This particular car is claimed at 8.7, but we're seeing figures of 11. Porsche offer a 3-year unlimited kilometre warranty on all Macans. However, that can be increased to 15 years depending on a whole bunch of factors, and there's a stack of terms and conditions that are far too complex to go over in this video right now. Servicing is recommended at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, and obviously you can get them serviced at a Porsche dealership, although you can also get them serviced at a specialist like Auto House Hamilton, which is what I would do if I owned a Porsche, which I don't yet. And being a Porsche, the cost of actual spare parts can be on the premium side of sensible. So while these may seem like good value as a used car, that value can go out the door pretty quickly with a large chunk of your bank account. Okay, so should you buy one? Look, that has less to do with buying a Macan in general and more to do with the specific Macan you're looking at. There's no denying that the Macan, even after a few years and many thousands of kilometres, is still a superb SUV, and it does tick so many boxes. But it is absolutely critical that the Macan you're looking at has a full and thorough service history and has been owned by somebody that has cared for it like a beloved pet or a favourite child. See, the problem with the Macan is that because they're a more affordable and popular Porsche, there's a higher chance that you may stumble onto an example that has been owned by someone that can only just afford the repayments and therefore has had to cut corners in regards to maintenance. And if this is the case, you could end up buying quite the money pit. But find the perfect Macan, make sure it has that full and thorough service history, and make sure it isn't stretching your budget too much. And yes, you should buy a Macan. This might just be the perfect SUV. Just have a few $1,000s left over on the side, just in case. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, what did you think of the Macan? Let us know in the comments. And remember, can you please hit those like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons, and go and share this video, because the more you share this, the more of these things we can make. Also go and check us out on the socials. See you next time. Now guys, before we get into this, I should mention that in this video we got, come on Morris, what's going on? Leading Porsche specialists, and not only have they, okay, here we go. Not only have they lent us the Macan, but they've been so good at, why can't I speak today? But they've also been fantastic and helped us. What's going on, Sam? I don't understand. Well guys, that might be one of the most, for as many people that love, start all over again. Come on, here we go. Here we go. That's all thanks to this car's designer, Michael? Michael Merle. Make sure you check the brand and the, come on Morris, today is one of those days. It's a good sign that the car's been driven really, really badly. Neither are ideal. There are occasional reports that the electronic mirrors, sorry mate, freak out, either not adjusting or even adjusting themselves. What am I trying to say? Not operating at all, or even operating on adjusting themselves on their own. What is wrong with me today? I can't speak. Here we go. They might just be really particular owners of Macans, but come on, Morris, let's get this right. I'm thinking too much. All right.